Hey everyone, it's Mizzy. For those of you who don't know me, I am a digital artist on deviantart.com and my username is Ms. Asian, spelled M-Z-Z-A-Z-N. I wanted to do a review on the Wacom tablet. This is the Cintiq Companion 2. Now this device is a little bit older now and you can find it used online for about $1,500. And I got it quite a while ago when it was a little bit newer, so I paid a little bit more than that. But let's start off with a brief introduction. So I've been doing digital art for quite a while. I want to say around the age of 16-ish. I started playing with the tablet and I believe I had which one was it? It was a very old school tablet. It was Wacom as well. And I used it, I did a couple of drawings and I loved it, but at the same time, I wasn't drawn to digital art quite yet. So then I stopped drawing for a while, and that's kind of when I started my DeviantArt account, and then I kind of went dead for quite some time on the website. And then I just came back into it, and what had happened was I got into, I believe it was the Intuos line, yeah, the series, and then I got into the Cintiq 21UX. Now when I had the Cintiq 21UX, I just fell in love with drawing, and I just went all out on it. I just kept drawing constantly. And throughout time, I got led into the hybrid version. I actually had 13 HD. I had so many different versions of Cintiqs and Wacom tablets in general. So I've used quite a few of them. You can always ask my opinions of them. I've also used, what is it, the Wacom Intuos medium, the large. So there's so many that I've been through. But currently, and for a while now, I have had the Cintiq Companion 2, and this is the tablet we'll be talking about today. So right now, I'm just going to be showing you the device and talking about the different physical aspects of it and what I thought of it. So this is the tablet. It's about 13.3 inches. It weighs, I believe it's close to 4 pounds, 3.7 pounds. And for me traveling, it's a little heavy. But for at home, it's great. It fits right here on my desk with no problems. And for the most part, I feel like it's heavy duty for a tablet PC in one, yet it's still lightweight. So if you do happen to move from office to office, if you're working at a remote location, you want to move from desk to desk in a different room, for example, this is a great size. Now if you drop it, that would be a problem because it's slim, so it's easy to drop, and it feels quite heavy, so I feel like you would do a lot of damage if you did drop it. Here are the ports. This new camera takes a little bit to focus, but let me help this camera. Okay, finally, geez. Okay, so I just got a new camera and it's not focusing as well as I want it to. Why are you not doing? Okay, so here is the audio jack. This is a typical 3.5mm audio jack. There are 3 USB ports on this side, and these are the only ones that they have. There's a mini display port, some SD card slots. This slot is actually for the cable that comes with it. And then you've also got a micro SD slot as well. Now I will say that I used to have the hybrid version. It also had an SD slot, and my SD slot got stuck in it. Like literally inside that one. So I'm a little afraid of using this one. Yeah, so I just don't really use these small slots just because I've had a bad experience with Wacom tablets eating them. So I just use an adapter. But these 3 USB ports are often fully used just because I have a Logitech USB unifying receiver, which is just going to require one of these. I usually have my external hard drive plugged in, and then I actually need one to adapt to my Mac if I want to hook it up. So what I mean is this comes with the whole set. This is the set of cables that comes with it. It's just one. And this hooks up your tablet to a PC or a MacBook. Now, the only problem for me is I have a MacBook Pro, one of the newer ones, and it uses a USB-C. So this is just the regular USB. So I actually have to use an adapter. So I had to buy this guy, but I live in China, so it's fairly cheap. And I plug this in to here. This is just an adapter, just plug it in. And this goes into my MacBook. So then I can hook them up together, but I often don't do that. I prefer just to work on the Wacom itself. And there's my receiver, and these are the cables that go into, this cable goes into the Wacom device itself. And this one is the HDMI, and that one goes into my adapter. And if you have a Windows computer, it would go into the HDMI port on your Windows computer. So essentially these two are hooked up to the computer that you'll be focusing it on. So if you wanted to use a MacBook, you would use your adapter to hook up the HDMI and the USB. If you had a Windows computer, you would plug in the HDMI part into HDMI and the USB into a USB hub on your computer. And then this one, the longer one, this guy, does not go into your computer, whether it's Windows or Mac. It actually goes into the Wacom tablet itself, into this port. So that explains this, and then my adapter, all right? So like I said, I don't normally do that. That's just not how I prefer to work. I prefer to work just with this. And this is the charging port. Let's see if this will focus. Okay, so this is the charging port, and I don't like it being charged as I work. I also get a very good idea on battery life that way. So I learned that this battery life lasts around 3.5 hours, I feel, when I'm using Photoshop, or let's say I'm using Clip Studio Paint on here. So it's about 3 hours of battery usage. Now I will go grab something really fast. So this is my charging bank that I use on the go, and this is where I would insert the Wacom charger. And I use this if I am on a train, for example. I would use it because it only lasts about 3 to 4 hours if I'm working. And this ends up just being super convenient because I can charge it multiple times before it runs out of battery. Okay, so let's go back to the tablet screen. The audio is quite good, but I don't like to listen to just this. Now, I don't mean it's amazing. It's not amazing. It's good enough to listen to videos. I don't prefer to watch videos on here, but if I am browsing the internet, I do, of course. The reason why is because maybe you can see, like, it glares crazy. So I actually had to set this up a certain way so this wouldn't just be beaming at me when I'm doing a video. And I had seen anti-glare screen protectors available, but I don't have that. I just have like a standard one. This is actually from Wacom because they had to do a repair on this, and I'll talk about that later. But yeah, there's an insane glare on this all the time. So if you're working outside, or you're by the window, or you just have like a brightly lit office, it's not the best. You're going to have to face it away from the light source so you can actually see what you're working on. As for reading on here, I am a student. I still have been a student for years. And when I read on here, I find that it's not very bright. It's quite dull. I prefer to read on my iPad Pro with iBooks or Kindle. I just really use this for working. So I just want to emphasize that. I use this to draw and maybe some browsing on the internet. I don't use it for much else because I have different devices I prefer to rely on for other needs. So here are the express keys. I have gotten used to some of these keys, but I'm not relying on them. So when I used to have the Cintiq 21UX, I loved that thing, loved it. And there was a touch strip on the back. And this one doesn't have that. It actually only has these keys, and with these keys, you can actually control the brush size or opacity or whatever you set it to on screen, and I don't like that. I loved having that touch strip, but unfortunately that's not available on here. So that's a downfall. I don't like the express keys. I work a lot faster using my keyboard. I use a Bluetooth keyboard as a hookup, and I've done this for years, and a lot of people that I know actually use a keyboard as well. There is a Windows key, so you can easily change from the screen that you're working on to your Windows homepage. Not a big deal because I never use it for anything else. So yeah, express keys, they're there. I don't really use them. Let's see. Here is the webcam on this side, the camera. And you'll notice the way I do it, I'm right-handed. So the express keys ends up being on my left hand. And here is a camera. It's awkwardly placed. I don't use it. I just never have used it for that anyway. I think the quality is quite low, and it's very low for the front-facing camera. So if you are looking to replace your laptop for school or for work, and to have a tablet in one for drawing, I don't really recommend this for that. But if you're looking to move from a very professional tablet, like let's say you have a very large Wacom tablet at work, you work for Disney, DreamWorks, whatever you're doing, and you want something kind of on the go, then this would be a little bit better for you because it's an easy transition, and you're really just using it for work. But if you are going to depend on it for other needs, I'm not sure if I would dish out a lot of money for this because of some downfalls on the actual device itself. Okay, so I wanted to show a few buttons on the other side. Over here, you can kind of lock the screen so it doesn't change rotation. And there's the power button on here as well. The power button is just a small switch. And I find it convenient that it's not in a location that I can easily flick off by accident. So I think that's kind of great. Otherwise, let's move on to the pen. Here is the pen case. It's just a standard case. And I quite like it because it is portable. You can't lose your pen very easily when you are carrying this with it. Now I have the Apple iPad Pro and I lose that all the time. Is this focusing? Why? Okay, I think it's focusing. Okay, so here's some nibs that come along with it. I almost never change my nibs. I'm not sure why, but I just don't. And here's the pen. Just I can take it out like that. That's what it looks like. Sorry, things are dusty. I live in Beijing and it just happens. And this is to take, just to like change your nibs and stuff, but I never do. But this is the case, and I really appreciate this case that Wacom provided, just because I tend to lose things, and with this it really helps to not lose a very expensive pen. Okay, I don't prefer to use the pen as a cursor. It's just not what I like. Maybe for quick tabs, I can't even think right now. Quick clicks, that's hard to say. It's fine, but I prefer to use a mouse, and I use a receiver like I was saying. The Logitech unifying receiver. It looks like this. It's just a little guy. So tiny. It doesn't even focus. This camera doesn't focus very well. I knew that though before I bought it. Work. Okay, yay, focused. Okay, so this is the receiver, and this picks up my mouse and my tablet as well. I have a Bluetooth keyboard. I don't know why I said tablet, keyboard. Anyway, so here's the mouse, and I've used this for years with multiple tablets and computers, and I absolutely love it. So if you do have this setup like this, like a desktop, I would prefer and suggest this over anything else. So get one of these. It's a Performance MX Logitech mouse. This is my second one because I lost my first one somewhere when I was traveling. Alright, so that's the mouse I use instead of the pen when I'm just using it to browse or if I'm doing like a Word document or something like that. We talked about the pen, we talked about the screen. Let's talk about adapting it to my Mac a little bit more. So I actually have the MacBook Pro like I was saying. So on my MacBook Pro, I have Adobe, what do I have right now? I have Photoshop on there. I just downloaded Corel. I haven't really used Corel in the past, so hopefully it ends up being awesome. On my Wacom itself, because it can perform as a Windows device, it has Windows 8.1 automatically. I upgraded to Windows 10, which was a horrible decision because it caused so many glitches on this device when I did that. But when I do use this, it has Paint Tool Sci on it, which I really prefer. And I prefer that because of the sensitivity. I just love drawing lines inside. I'm not sure why. and it responds really well to my pen. So when I use my pen, I like to do it at a little bit of a tilt. So let's say these are some of my notes, but let's say here is my tablet, because I'm not gonna move this whole camera setup. I don't go straight up like this. I just don't. I tilt it. That's just how I draw. Sorry if that's blurry, this camera. This camera. Anyway, so yeah, I prefer a slight tilt, and this works really well on a tablet. It feels like I'm drawing on paper, but not quite. So it is a great substitute for when I am drawing. Yeah, I just like the feel of it. So if I have an Apple iPad Pro, like I was saying, I definitely prefer to draw on this over the iPad Pro. I've never completed a full drawing on the iPad Pro. I've only done sketches. But I've completed many, 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 many drawings on this. So highly suggest that. So let's go into the stand. This guy. So the stand is able to stand up, that's funny. English jokes. Okay, it's able to stand up at certain angles, so you can see. I always use the first one, and actually no, I use the middle one. Usually use the middle one. I don't push too hard on my tablet, so I never have the issue of it falling down often. We'll get into a little story later. Anyway, so this is the tablet stand, and I'm gonna have to say it's horrible. This is trash. And that's really harsh, but I paid a lot of money for this, even though I bought it from a second person that used it or something like that. But if you were to buy this brand new, this is a horrible stand. I feel like I have a lot of expectations out of Wacom after using all their devices for years. This is so evil. And the reason why I say that is because my tablet has fallen on this when it was being used. And like I said, I don't press very hard. And then it shattered. It shattered the screen. I don't even know what happened. Anyway, I'll show you a picture. And so that's the damage that happened with my Wacom screen, and it cost me a lot of money. And here's the information on that experience. So when I damaged my screen just because of this thing falling, which is horrible and broke my heart, because it is a device that I bought from someone else, I don't even know if it would normally be covered. It did cost me quite a bit to fix, and my boyfriend paid as a birthday gift. It's a lot of money, but it was fixed in China. So in China, the offer to fix it was $898 US. If I were to have brought it to the States, back to the States with me, it would have cost $1,050, which is $152 difference. And I got it fixed in China, of course, because it was cheaper. And they fixed it immediately, but when Wacom fixed the screen problem, they had to wipe the computer back to, or the tablet computer, back to Windows 8.1, and then this thing just went haywire. And I don't know if the representative actually tested it out before they sent it back to me, tested it out well. So I sent it back within the same day, and they were able to fix it, I believe the next day or within the same day as well. I can't remember. They were super fast because I live in Beijing. It's just goes on like a little bike or something, and they just get it going to the destination that day within hours, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that was my experience with the screen and the stand. So stand, boo, no. I don't like this, which is why I actually invested into this guy. This is $172 at the time. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but that's how much I hated this stand and how angry I was. Now I already had this at the time, but I decided to really just use this instead because the stand is like this. Yeah, can you see? Yeah. And so it just stands like this, and it just heavily relies on giving it pressure to stand up. It actually has these bands to help give it a little bit of support, and it has all the same angles as the original stand by Wacom as well. And so it's made by either Doodoo Lab or Dodo Lab. I don't really know, but that's the name. You can see it there. And I really like this because it covers up all of these sides of the Wacom, which this doesn't. So if you're going to have almost a $2,000 device, when I had it, I want to protect it. So let's talk about drawing on the Wacom Cintiq Companion 2. The drawing is fantastic. I would highly recommend purchasing this if you are willing to dish out quite a bit of money for a professional device. So you can't find this tablet on their website anymore to purchase brand new, but you can find it in other places like Amazon, I believe. The used one is $1,500, so it's jumped down significantly in price. Jumped down, it's gone down. But yeah, so for drawing, it's great. I wouldn't prefer to draw on anything else. I even have an iPad Pro. I don't prefer to draw on that. I prefer to draw on this. But for travel's sake, it's not convenient for me to carry this around. Perhaps they'll get into making something like the iPad Pro one day. If they do, it's going to be amazing if they really invest into it. The problem with that is going to be all the little ports, you know, adapters and such that you will need. I use Paint Tool SI on here, and I have preferred to use Paint Tool SI for a long time. Settings wise, it's very easy to set that up, and with Photoshop on here, it's also very convenient. Clip Studio Paint, same story. So setting this up brush wise, sensitivity, and playing with opacity and everything, it's fantastic to use this for any of those software. So overall, let's talk about a recap. So this is quite a bit of money. I paid $1,000, how much did I pay? What's right there? I paid $1,976 for this at the time. Remember, it was newer. Now you can find it available for around $1,500. Apparently, normally it comes with this case. This is the Wacom carrying case, which is actually quite nice, but I have my own. So it comes with this. It comes with the pen case, the stand, the tablet itself, and it apparently comes with a keyboard. Now, since I didn't purchase it directly from Wacom, I ended up not having the keyboard. So, I mean, I have my own, so it didn't really matter. So for the cost, if you're willing to dish out $1,500, around the price that you can find it for now, yeah, go for it. For that price, it's great. Especially if you have a little bit of patience getting used to a device like this. If you are like an intermediate level artist or pro, yeah, get this. If you are a beginner, I would suggest saving your money, getting commissions going, saving your money, and then going ahead and purchasing a newer Cintiq that would be available when you're interested and you feel a lot more comfortable with your artwork. If you're ready to go already, get one of these. If you prefer something with a bright screen, this is not for you. This is a dull screen, and it's difficult to work in an office, I feel. But you know, throughout time, with technology advancing so quickly and Wacom's always pumping out tablets, I really hope that they'll come out with something that is a little bit more friendly towards the glare that is given off of this. Yeah, and for the tablet itself, I love all of the different ports. It allows me to use an adapter quite easily, which is really nice. So this device itself is great. This device, with everything I use personally to travel with, it's not travel friendly as much as it could be. So like I said, I use the 21 UX, which is huge. It is ginormous. You cannot carry that anywhere. Maybe for a workout you could, but yeah, you can't bring that anywhere with you. But I really liked having a device like that was sturdy, that worked well, that had the touch strip. So if Wacom could work on something like this, maybe a little bit more light, if they can sacrifice that, if they can make it a little bit light and have the touch strip in it, that would be amazing. Yeah, and the keyboard itself on here, the virtual keyboard, not so awesome. So if they could work on that, for example, what is it, the Surface Pro? I tried the different versions of it, and every single time the keyboard is on screen, it's just, oh my god, so cool, amazing. If that could be worked on, that'd be pretty cool. But you know, I don't really type on that. I just use my keyboard here. So maybe they could do something better with the express keys. Maybe maybe it's just me not getting used to it, but that touch strip was very important. Very, very important. And I just wish that was still there. It's so easy just to do this instead of pushing a button and then going on here and adjusting it, or pushing the button and adjusting it with your pen. Just not as convenient. Being able to make the brush bigger or smaller just by doing this simultaneously as you're drawing is incredible. So Wacom, please look at something like that again. If you're going to be dishing out $1,500 for this, if you don't mind, it's a lot of money. If you don't mind, also get a screen protector, because that's really helpful because of the damage that happened to mine. It just definitely helps with any impact at all. And it also helps with any scratches, because if you put a little bit of pressure on here, you could end up scratching the screen. You don't want to do that, especially if you want to resell it or something like that. So overall, I do think it's worth the investment at the price that it is now. If I were to go back in the past and had made this video earlier, I probably would not suggest the purchase for someone who is trying to save up money or is a student. But since the price has greatly gone down and you can buy it for $1,500, yeah, it's a steal, especially if you're looking at a professional tablet. You can really do everything that you'd like on a normal computer on here, unless you're gaming, that's a different story. But if you are doing Word documents for school, like I have, PowerPoint presentations for teaching, any of that stuff, Illustrator, if you are drawing, I don't know about video creation, I'm not so sure about that. I feel like you need a much more powerful PC. But if you're doing light videos, just, you know, just very light stuff, not hardcore editing, I think this is really fine, especially if you've got external hard drive like me, instead of using the storage on the device directly. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask below. I'm sorry, this review has been something that has been a goal of mine for a while, but essentially the Wacom story that I wanted to share with you was going to be magnifico, but it didn't happen quite as planned. So let's just talk about that really fast. I went to Wacom in the USA and they were amazing, and they showed me this tablet, and the representative actually told me about the series that was coming out soon. However, I really needed a tablet then to be drawing. I had quite a few commissions I had to finish up. Well, my artwork got shared, and then it was in the works of being talked about a sponsorship, which is amazing. Except I was going to China. I was going to live in China for work. So throughout time, this has been quite a few months, the US team basically talked to the Chinese team, is my understanding, and the Chinese team kind of died off. Like, they didn't respond. And so I had to contact Wacom again in the US, and then they contacted the Asia team, and the Asia team contacted the China team again, and the China team got a representative. But the representative they put me in contact with was not the one that was for the the sponsorship. And so he directed me to someone else. Now this gentleman was in charge of the sponsorships, but he sent me a message about the sponsorship, and it was sounding really great, and then that was it. Just died off, just died. And even though I asked about it for a few times, and Wacom has been working on finding a representative for my location and to help my situation. But because the process has taken so long, I felt so bad, because I said that I would make somewhat of a review of some sort, and I just could not get to it because I was waiting on the climax and the conclusion of the sponsorship. So I'm kind of just waiting still. But hopefully that will end up with, you know, happiness, rainbows, and butterflies. But yeah, I'm really, really sorry about the delay. Now you kind of understand the situation. Also, my Wacom was out for repair, and now it's back. And that was another thing that kind of all happened all at the same time. So there's been a lot of conflicting issues. So my biggest apologies about that. The next time I say I'm going to do a review, it will be a lot faster, and I will be straight up with you guys and tell you right off the bat, hey, this is the phase, you know, phase 600, you know, what's happening. So I'll give you guys more updates. Like I said, if you have any questions, write them below. Please subscribe if this was helpful. I'm really sorry this is crazy, but that's the way I am too. Thanks. See you next time. Bye. Did it work? No. Focus. Why are you not focusing? Did you order it? Focus. Why is it not focusing? Why are you not focusing? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Focus. It's supposed to just touch and focus, but it's not. It's awful. Ah, okay, forget that. Spit everywhere, which is pretty cool. And then, what was that?
I can help you find a place if you turn on location services. Go to location services settings, scroll to Siri and dictation and allow location access.